So I was watching Full Size Run the other day, right? You know, if you guys are familiar with Full Size Run, it's a complex show. They talk about sneakers and whatnot. And wouldn't you have it, your boy Qias was on there. Qias was on Full Size Run, and they were throwing him through the ringer. To be fair, Trinidad James was kind of like apologetic towards Qias. But Matthew Welty was clearly triggered. The dynamic between these two was hilarious because you have somebody like Matthew Welty. Welty is like one of those OG historian sneakerheads. You gotta know everything about the sneakers in order to be considered a sneakerhead. In order to enter into our realm of sneakerheaddom, you need to be all about the history, everything. And Qias he ain't it, right? Qias ain't that guy, right? Now, if you don't know who Qias is one of these sneaker YouTubers, one of the bigger ones. He has like 1 million subs, and he's like well documented for using like clickbaity thumbnails and titles and whatnot. And he gets criticized for it, but he got 1 million subs, so I can't hate on the man, right? In fact, you can learn something from him. We're gonna talk about clickbait in the overtime. So if you guys are interested in learning a little bit about clickbait, how I feel about it, go ahead and hit us on the overtime. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you're gonna get that for free. Anyway, so watching this dynamic between these two, hilarious. Because what Welty really represents is this idea that OG sneakerheads are the only individuals that should be considered to call themselves sneakerheads, or not just OG sneakerheads, but sneakerheads who know everything about the sneakers that they're getting into, the history, not just the sneaker that they're getting, but the silhouette in general. Like, if it's a dunk, you should know the history of the dunk, why the dunk is the way that it is, how did it start, all this information. You should know all the background information. Clearly, Welty was like that. Clearly. I'm not trying to get on you, homie. I'm just saying it was clear that was kind of like your intention, the way that his argument was really based in was like, you need to know this stuff. And Qias was like, I don't really know this sneaker. I don't know when this released. They brought him up with 2 sneakers and he was just like, I know that one's like an alien one, and this one, like, it was like a retro Jordan. And he didn't know what year it came out. And so here's my thing about OG sneakerheads. And I can say this as a person who loves sneakers. I'm what you call a contrarian sneaker lover, right? I wouldn't dare call myself a sneakerhead because I'm not really into the crazy history. Of course, I came up during the time of Jordan, Penny, all that good stuff. I was introduced to sneakers. I know a little bit about sneakers, but I'm not like gung-ho sneakerhead guy, right? So I'm not even gonna put myself in that category of being a bona fide sneakerhead. I will say that I'm a contrarian sneaker. I like sneakers that I like, and I try to get stuff that I personally get into. That being said, sneakerhead, I can relate because as a fashion head, as somebody who's really into fashion, who studies the history, I can understand how you feel when somebody doesn't know the history of a particular label, brand, or release, right? Or, just knowing extra information about what you're getting into. So you could be like a savvy shopper or more, just a smarter individual with the ducats you have. So I can understand that. But keep in mind, I really look at sneakerheads in 3 different categories. You have the OG historical scholastic sneakerheads. These are the guys who know everything about every sneaker. Then you have the interest-based sneakerheads, people who just like the sneakers. They may not know the history, but they like sneakers. They know the general lingo. They know, they know how to talk to the community, but they're just not into all the information that you need to have in order to be like an OG. And then you have these neophyte sneakerheads, these people who usually get into sneakerhead culture through the hype, right? Through hype beasting, basically. And honestly, if you're an OG sneakerhead, you can't get mad at these people over here, the interest base and the neophytes, right? Because eventually these people are going to be OGs talking about sneaker releases coming out now. Although I can relate, you want to kind of like encourage them to know about the history of the things that they're getting into. But while you hold the history of some of the older sets, they have the history of some of the new stuff that's coming out now, and they'll eventually become OGs in their own right, talking about sneakers that are coming out and releases that are happening today. They don't need to go back before they were born to know about sneakers that released when they were like 2 or 4 years old, right? They don't need to do that. Not in my opinion, they don't need to do that. And the only reason why I say that is because, you get into this situation where you start negatively approaching these people who are a part of your own community. They have the same interests as you. You can't just keep on pushing them away. It's kind of like the old school hip hop versus new school hip hop people. While I may not like some of the new stuff coming out, I can't shun these guys and just say I'm not going to listen to them at all because I don't like the music. I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to embrace everything, but I'm going to embrace the fact that they're moving forward. Eventually, they'll be the OGs and they'll be old school, right? So we can't really get caught up in this conversation. And I was guilty of that too, because this is why I was talking about quitting streetwear on the channel. It was more so a response to the fact that I was getting depressed about talking about like being preachy all the damn time. Like just being preachy towards people. Like, yo, you should know about this. Hypebeast don't know anything. This is why streetwear. So I was tired of doing that. I wasn't having fun talking about that kind of stuff. And this is like half the job is like having fun with your content, bringing people into the fold. So if you are OG sneakerhead and you get mad at a person like Qias, who you can have a lot of criticism for a person like Qias when he says something like, yeah, I am the type of person who only gets into like these other fashion brands if they're attached to like a hype brand. You can say that. The fact that he admits that is commendable to me. I'm like, okay, cool. At least he understands what he is and he's not trying to hide from it. If he says, yeah, it's my job to hook him if I put a clickbait title, he kind of accepts what he is. And the fact that he can kind of accept that, we should respect that kind of realm that he lives in, right? And it's gotten him 1 million subs, right? So he's making money doing that. So we can't be so caught up in trying to like be preachy. And when we do, you can't, if you're an OG sneakerhead and you're mad at a person like Qias you've been doing this for a long time, then Qias comes along and he just does a clickbaity thing, then we need to make better content as more information-based fashion heads, sneakerheads. We need to make stuff that's entertaining, right? We need to step our game up, because if we know more about it, then we need to make sure that people can watch it and people are happy when they watch it. That was the thing that the casual was getting stuck into. People were saying all the time, there would be like a few people, he'd be like, man, he sound like, it's good information, but he sounds super boring. I can't listen to him all the time. You probably can't listen to this one right now, right? So yeah, man, that's my opinion on that. I just thought it was a funny story. I think if you haven't seen that episode of Full Size Run with Qias, you need to go ahead and go over to Complex and watch that episode. I think it was hilarious. Some of the outfits that I saw from Qias, man, I'm not even gonna say anything about it, but do you, man, do you. In any case, I want to know what you guys think about that.